Imagine finding a 200-year-old diary that belonged to your great-great-grandmother.
Oh, wow, that is the dream find.
Right. It's an incredible discovery, but, there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
Always. It's written in this really obscure Italian dialect. The ink is totally faded from water damage. The handwriting is just atrocious, and it stretches for like 300 dense pages.
Yeah, that is the definition of a genealogical brick wall.
Exactly. I mean, 10 years ago, you'd probably just put it in an acid-free box, slide it onto a closet shelf, and tell yourself you'll get to it someday.
And then never do.
Right. But today, you can actually unlock that entire diary, translate it, and summarize it in about 30 seconds.
Which is just wild to think about. It completely shifts the landscape of what we consider a dead end in historical research. We are living through this massive technological leap right now.
Yeah, we really are.
Where the sheer volume of data, or even the physical degradation of old records, well, it just no longer has to be a paralyzing barrier.
And that's exactly why we are taking a deep dive today into a tool that acts like basically a wrecking ball for those brick walls.
I love that analogy.
We're unpacking a step-by-step guide on how to use artificial intelligence as your personal genealogy research assistant. And I want to stress, we're doing this specifically for beginners.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction.
So if you're listening to this and you've got a desk drawer full of unreadable German marriage certificates or messy census printouts, this is where you really want to pay attention.
Approaching AI from a beginner's mindset is absolutely crucial here, because the technology can feel incredibly intimidating, especially if you consider yourself more of a historian than, a tech person.
Oh, totally. It sounds like science fiction.
Right. But our source material today does an amazing job of flipping that script. We're pulling insights from a really comprehensive workshop called Let's Try AI.
Led by a trainer named Lori Coffey, right?
Exactly. And she specializes in breaking down all these complex, jargon-heavy concepts into just plain English for family historians.
She makes treating AI like a friendly, eager digital intern actually sound accessible, fun even.
She really does.
Yeah.
But she also sets a very clear baseline expectation right at the start. The workshop emphasizes one foundational rule before anything else.
What's that?
Today is about learning how to use AI to analyze the historical data you already have sitting on your desk.
Okay.
We are not using it to magically conjure up new, unknown facts about your great-great-grandfather.
So wait, if I'm trying to find out what ship my ancestor took from Ireland, I shouldn't just go to the AI and say, hey, find this for me.
Exactly. Do not do that.
Okay, let's unpack the why behind that rule, because before we start handing off tasks to our new digital intern, we really need to understand the mechanics of how it actually thinks.
Right. And Lori introduces the term LLM, which stands for Large Language Model.
Right. Large language model. What does that actually mean for us?
Well, fundamentally, an LLM is a computer program that has been fed an unimaginably huge diet of text.
Like how huge?
Millions of books, historical archives, articles, websites. I mean, it has essentially swallowed a massive chunk of the internet.
Wow. Okay.
And because of that massive diet, it has learned the patterns of human communication.
Yeah.
It understands plain English.
So I don't need to know how to code.
No, not at all. You don't need to know a programming language or anything. You just talk to it conversationally.
Which is why Lori suggests this really brilliant psychological trick. She says you should actually name your AI to help you remember it's an assistant and not just like a search bar.
Yeah, she calls hers Robbie.
Robbie, I love that. And didn't she mention a friend who named theirs AIDA? AI?
Yes, AIDA. It's so clever. And doing that totally shifts how you interact with it.
It really does. It reminds you that you are delegating tasks to a helper rather than querying a static encyclopedia.
Exactly. And to really grasp how Robbie operates, the workshop brings up this fascinating historical parallel. Do you remember the famous 1996 chess match?
Oh, IBM supercomputer Deep Blue against the human world champion Garry Kasparov.
That's the one. The moment the machine finally beat the grandmaster.
Right. But why is that relevant here?
Because the mechanism of how the machine won is the key. In the early versions of chess computers, programmers tried to hard code every specific winning sequence of moves.
Like they were trying to make the computer just memorize the entire game.
Exactly. And that failed miserably against human creativity. So for Deep Blue, they changed tactics entirely. They just taught the computer the fundamental rules of chess, gave it an understanding of strategy, and basically said, evaluate the board and figure out how to win.
And it started making completely novel moves.
Right. It wasn't just regurgitating a pre-programmed script. It was actively solving complex strategic problems in real time.
Oh, I see. So that exact same mechanism is what powers a modern large language model for our family history research.
You've got it. It isn't just spitting back a pre-written article about the 1800s. It takes the rules of language, pairs them with the specific historical context you provide, and solves analytical problems.
That is incredible. But that incredible predictive power is simultaneously its biggest, most dangerous flaw, right?
Unfortunately, yes. We have to talk about the dreaded AI hallucinations.
The hallucinations, they sound so sci-fi.
Well, an LLM does not have a fact-checker brain. It doesn't actually know facts in the way a human historian does.
Right.
It operates by predicting the next most likely word in a sequence based on its training.
Let me give an analogy for this, actually, because the mechanism is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a lot like the autocomplete feature on your cell phone's text messages, but scaled up to a massive supercomputer level.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
Right. So if it doesn't actually know the historical fact you asked for, it just hits autocomplete anyway.
Yeah.
It will just keep stringing together probable words until it has invented a completely fake historical citation or even an entirely fictional ancestor.
And the worst part is, it will present it to you with absolute, unwavering confidence.
Confident, but fake.
Confident but fake is the perfect way to describe a hallucination. If you ask it an open-ended question about an obscure relative, the AI will use the context of the surname and the era to invent this beautifully written, highly plausible, but entirely fictional biography.
See, this makes me want to push back on the whole premise a bit.
Oh, how so?
Well, if Robbie confidently makes things up and hallucinates fake ancestors, why would I ever trust him with something as delicate as my family history? I mean, it sounds like I'm hiring a pathological liar to be my research assistant.
That is a completely valid concern. It really is. And it's the exact reason Lori stresses that golden rule.
Right. Never use AI to research family facts you don't know.
Exactly. If you are hunting for a missing birth date or a maiden name, you leave that to traditional search engines like Google and your verified family tree software.
So you use Robbie as a digital magnifying glass, not an encyclopedia.
Yes. You slide him over the documents you've already verified, and you ask him to help you spot hidden patterns, translate messy handwriting, or summarize dense text.
But you are always the lead detective. You always verify the output.
Always. And there's one more critical safety warning from the source material before we get to the fun stuff.
PII warning.
Right. Never input PII into an open AI chatbot. Personally identifiable information.
So do not type in the names, birth dates, social security numbers, or banking details of living people.
Exactly. Human technicians at these tech companies sometimes review chat logs to improve the models, and there is always a lingering risk of a data breach.
Stick strictly to the dead people.
Right. Keeping the focus on historical figures keeps your family safe. So assuming we know Robbie's strengths and his glaring weaknesses, the next hurdle is communication.
How do we actually talk to this digital intern to get useful results without triggering those hallucinations?
Right, which brings us to the art of prompting.
Prompting. A prompt is basically simply the instruction you type into the chat box, right?
Yep. And the workshop points out that the single most common mistake beginners make is treating that box like a basic Google search bar.
Oh, yeah. Like if you just type in, tell me about the Mueller family in Indiana, you are virtually guaranteeing a generic, hallucinated response.
Absolutely.
Think about it like going to a restaurant, sitting down at a table, and just telling the waiter, give me food.
The waiter has absolutely no idea what your dietary restrictions are, what you like, or how hungry you are. You're going to get a very strange meal.
Right. Versus saying, I'm a vegetarian, I love spicy food, I hate mushrooms, and I want something under $20. What do you recommend?
The more context you provide, the better the meal.
Exactly. You have to level up your prompt.
Providing context to the AI is everything. Instead of just searching for Mueller, you feed it a detailed setup, like I'm researching Henry John Peter Mueller, born in 1851 in Cedarville, Allen County, Indiana. His father was William Mueller, a pioneer who arrived in 1836.
Oh, so now Robbie's autocomplete mechanism is anchored to specific facts.
Exactly, which significantly reduces the chance of a hallucination.
That makes so much sense. And Lori breaks this down into this really elegant 4-part recipe for the perfect prompt.
The ingredients being role, task, format, and restrictions.
Right. I want to look closely at the role because it's the one people almost always skip.
They do. And because the AI has swallowed the entire internet, it has millions of different voices it could use. You need to explicitly tell it which point of view to adopt.
You literally cast it in a role. You type, act like genealogy documentation expert Thomas Jones.
Or if you wanted to write an engaging summary for your family reunion, you might say, act like the historical novelist Ken Follett.
I love that. And then you define the task clearly and you set the format.
Format is vital.
Yeah, if you don't specify, you'll just get like huge paragraphs of text. But you can ask for a bulleted list, a chronological timeline, or even a neatly organized table with specific columns.
And the final ingredient, restrictions, is your ultimate weapon against that pathological liar tendency we talked about.
You have to put guardrails on the autocomplete.
Right. You explicitly type. Use a consonant tone for known facts. Do not guess. If information is missing, put the word missing in brackets.
I love that trick. That command forces the AI to acknowledge its own blind spots instead of inventing a filler word.
It works so well.
Mhm.
But, even with that fantastic recipe, staring at a blank chat box can cause major writer's block for people.
Oh, for sure. Blank page syndrome is real.
If you don't know how to construct the prompt, the workshop offers a brilliant workaround called the Interview Me hack.
This is my favorite part of the whole setup. You just open the chat and type. To produce the best output for my genealogy research, ask me questions. Ask one question at a time. Ask the first question now.
It's so smart. It instantly reverses the dynamic. Robbie stops waiting for instructions and starts interviewing you about your brick wall.
He might ask, what is the specific time period you are looking at? You answer, and then he asks the next logical question.
It becomes an iterative conversation.
Which highlights a broader point about prompting, right? You almost never get the perfect result on the very first try.
Almost never. You review what the AI gives you, you critique it, and you advance the prompt by asking it to tweak the tone or add missing details.
And once you master that iterative dialogue, you can really start leveraging what the workshop calls AI's 4 superpowers for genealogy.
Yes. Let's get into the superpowers. Let's start with the first one, which solves a problem every single researcher dreads. The dense, dry, academic biography.
Ugh, yes. Superpower number 1 is summarizing. Say you find a 3-page, incredibly tedious county history text about your ancestor. You just paste it into the AI and give the simple task. Please shorten and simplify this text.
Lori actually did exactly this in the workshop, but she realized the AI's first summary was still just a bit too dry.
So she advanced the prompt.
Exactly. She told Robbie, please rewrite this text for a 4th grader.
That is brilliant, and the output completely transformed, right?
Totally. The AI added bullet points, bold subheadings, and even a little icon image. It took this impenetrable wall of text and made it instantly engaging.
Which is perfect for sharing with younger family members who might otherwise just completely tune out.
Absolutely. Now, the second superpower moves from text we find boring to text we physically cannot read.
Transcribing and
Yeah.
translating.
You can take a screenshot of a terrible, faded, handwritten record and paste the image file directly into the prompt box.
This is where the magic really happens for me. Laura used an Italian death record from 1829. She pasted the image and wrote, please transcribe, then translate this death record.
And Robbie did it in seconds.
Seconds.
But here's where the AI goes beyond just being a simple translator. It actually added historical context to the translation.
Wait, how so?
Well, there was a scribbled word on the document that looked like echo.
ECHO.
Yeah. And a literal human translator might just write echo and leave you totally confused. But the AI, utilizing its vast linguistic and geographical database, inferred that echo was actually a known local abbreviation for a specific commune called Gessapolina.
Oh my gosh. A human researcher could spend weeks in a library trying to cross-reference Italian municipal abbreviations to figure that out.
Exactly. The AI bridges that semantic gap instantly.
That is wild.
But it brings up a fascinating problem. Robbie can read the messy handwriting on a single Italian death record. But what happens when you have 30 years of census records?
Right. Reading it isn't enough anymore. You need to spot trends.
Which leads to the third superpower, extracting and analyzing.
This is where AI puts on its forensic historian hat. Lori fed Robbie raw census data from 1850 all the way through 1880 for the Mueller family.
And a prompt cast it in a really specific role. She said, you are an expert genealogical data analyst and forensic historian. Analyze the provided census records.
And instead of just returning a neat spreadsheet, Robbie generated this comprehensive narrative summary tracking the family's economic evolution across 3 entire decades.
But more importantly, it spotted subtle anomalies that human eyes easily miss when scanning row after row after row of data.
Right. It flagged what it called the invisible household in the 1870 census.
Yes, the invisible household.
The AI noticed a group of unexplained individuals living with the main family during that specific decade. And based on the historical context and their ages, it deduced they were likely orphaned extended family members taken in after an event.
And it created a specific report just on them. It connected dots across 30 years of documents.
It's mind-blowing. Okay, what's the fourth superpower?
The fourth and final superpower is generating.
Generating. So this covers turning those raw facts into a beautifully written blog post, stuff like that.
Yes, but it also delves heavily into the visual realm, generating and restoring photos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the AI ecosystem has specific image generation tools. In Google's suite, the artistic counterpart is Gemini Nano.
Which Lori jokingly calls Nano Banana.
Nano Banana, yes.
Yeah.
You can ask Nano Banana to clean up fuzzy, damaged photographs, but it definitely requires a learning curve.
There was a great cautionary tale about this in the workshop, actually.
Oh, the mom's eyes fail.
Yes. Lori tried to have the AI fix a photograph of her pregnant mother simply by asking it to open her mother's eyes.
And what happened?
The AI took extreme creative liberty and completely changed the mother's face. Like, different cheeks, different mouth structure. It was an epic fail.
But she didn't just give up.
No. She remembered the 4-part recipe and realized she needed a strict restriction in her prompt. So she tried again, uploaded the original photo, and added, "Do not change any detail whatsoever except to open the woman's eyes."
And that strict boundary worked perfectly.
It did. You can also use these tools for historical recreation. Like, Lori wanted to visualize an 1855 pioneer homestead in Indiana.
And instead of a generic prompt, she layered it with intense historical details.
Yeah.
Homespun linen trousers, a dirt wagon track with deep ruts, towering oaks in autumn colors.
The AI layered all of those details beautifully. She even noticed a small figure generated by a grist mill in the background and decided it looked exactly like a concerned pioneer father yelling at his kids for playing too close to the firewood.
It just brings an incredible texture to the history.
It does, but I have to admit, when we start talking about generating faces that never actually existed, it feels a bit precarious.
You're thinking of the missing Charles example from the source material.
Yes. Lori had a photograph of her grandmother, but absolutely no existing photos of her grandmother's father, a man named Charles. So she asked the AI to analyze the photo of the daughter, maintain the strong family resemblance, and transform the image into a man to guess what Charles might have looked like.
It's a cool parlor trick for sure.
It is, but isn't that crossing a massive line from history into historical fiction?
It absolutely crosses that line. And the workshop validates your apprehension entirely. This is a point where genealogists have to be incredibly, incredibly careful.
Yeah.
Creating an image like the missing Charles is a wonderful emotional visualization exercise for your own family's imagination, but it is fundamentally not a historical artifact.
Because if you upload that generated image to Ancestry.com without any context, you might trick some future historian 50 years from now into thinking they found the one surviving authentic photograph of Charles.
Exactly. Which is why the source material stresses a strict best practice. If you generate a speculative image, you must clearly and permanently label it as an AI reconstruction directly on the image itself.
It is our responsibility as researchers not to pollute the historical record with our digital artifacts.
100%. So we've got the superpowers down. Copying and pasting screenshots and bios is amazing for a single census page or a faded photograph.
Right.
But what happens if you hit the mother of all brick walls? Say your local library gives you a massive, dense, 200-page county history book from the 1800s in PDF form.
Yeah, you definitely can't paste a 200-page book into a standard chat box.
You cannot. For massive, document-heavy research, we have to graduate to a different class of tool entirely.
Okay, what is it?
The workshop introduces Notebook LM, which is sometimes called Gemini Notebook. But Lori affectionately refers to it as Professor Ravi, or my personal favorite, The Vault.
The Vault. That sounds incredibly secure.
It is, and it elegantly solves the biggest problem we discussed at the very beginning.
The hallucinations.
Exactly. Unlike the standard web chatbot that constantly draws on its entire internet diet, Notebook LM is completely locked down.
Okay, let me make sure I understand the mechanism here. If the regular AI is like an eager, somewhat reckless intern who might occasionally make up a fake citation just to sound smart,
Right.
then Notebook LM is like a strict, no-nonsense librarian who's only allowed to look at the specific books you physically place on their desk.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. It essentially builds a temporary fenced-off brain. When you upload your documents, and you can upload up to 50 massive Word docs, PDFs, or web links, it indexes every single word.
Wow.
And then it shuts off its connection to its broader internet training, and it only answers your questions using the specific sandbox you just built for it.
So the risk of hallucinating a fake fact drops to near zero because its universe of knowledge is entirely restricted to your uploads.
Exactly. The example provided in the source is wild. Lori uploaded a 276-page PDF transcripts of a historical document.
And it had zero punctuation, right? It was just a massive, unreadable wall of text.
Yes. Within seconds, Professor Robbie analyzed the entire thing and provided a clean, fully punctuated overview.
That's insane.
And then, with a single prompt, it condensed all 276 pages into a highly readable 2.5-page brief.
You can even ask the Vault to turn confusing local history into a neat chronological timeline.
Yeah, if you're a highly visual learner, it can scan dense research logs and output a clean infographic.
Or, and this is crazy, it can even generate a comprehensive audio overview of your family document.
Oh, right. It synthesizes the text and creates a conversational audio file where two AI voices discuss the contents of the diaries or records you uploaded, analyzing the themes out loud.
Which is incredibly meta considering we are doing a deep dive into these exact topics right now.
It really is. But it highlights how beautifully AI is adapting to different learning styles. Some people need a spreadsheet, some need a visual timeline, and some need to listen to a summary while they commute.
What's vital to take away is that for serious, dense genealogical research involving hundreds of pages of text, this Vault method is simply the safest and most efficient way to synthesize vast amounts of historical data without losing accuracy.
Absolutely.
So, what does this all mean for the everyday researcher? If we step back and connect the dots of this entire step-by-step journey, it starts with a healthy skepticism, right?
Right. Knowing that AI predicts words and can hallucinate if left unchecked.
Then it's about mastering the communication through the 4-part prompt: role, task, format, and restrictions.
And from there, you begin applying its analytical superpowers, summarizing dense historical bios, translating and transcribing messy, faded records,
Extracting hidden patterns like invisible households from decades of census data, and carefully generating restored photos.
and finally, using the Vault to safely tame those massive 200-page paper monsters.
When you put it all together, it becomes clear that AI isn't here to do the research for us.
No, not at all. It's here to speed up the heavy lifting, to take over the tedious transcription and the cross-referencing.
It frees you from the drudgery of staring at unreadable text until your eyes cross, leaving you with the actual joy of synthesizing the facts and discovering the human story. You are always the historian.
Which brings me to an incredibly profound moment from the workshop that I really want to end on.
Oh, yes.
Lori actually asked the AI a philosophical question about history and death and how human lives are recorded. And the AI responded with this staggering quote: "If the record makes us look like monsters, it's because kindness never kept receipts."
It's such a heavy thought. When you look back at historical ledgers, they are mostly comprised of wars, court cases, property disputes, and crimes.
Exactly. The mundane, ordinary moments of human kindness rarely generate a paper trail.
And Lori makes the beautiful point that this is exactly our job as family historians. We are, as she calls it, history evangelists.
History evangelists.
We are using these cutting-edge AI tools to dig through the dust, to keep those receipts, and to document the quiet kindness, the struggles, and the resilience of our ancestors that the official ledgers forgot.
It truly is a noble application of this technology. We are utilizing the absolute cutting edge of the future to rescue and preserve the forgotten past.
And that leaves us with one final provocative thought to ponder. If you're listening to this, think about this. If we are using artificial intelligence today to reconstruct the hidden lives of our ancestors from these tiny fragmented breadcrumbs, a faded 1850 census row, a blurry photo, an obscure Italian diary, what will the AI of the future infer about us from the massive, overwhelming digital footprint we are leaving behind right now?
Will they hit a brick wall, or will they know us a little too well?
Think about it.